All right, so with a couple of patches and the newest class, which is Mad Genius, which is this hunk of cheese up here, I went and changed my tier list a little bit. I can change it back to what it was before, and then like sort of give my thought breakdowns thusly. Okay, so one of the biggest things was like right here in patch 1.8, which was the patch right after they added Mad Genius, was they also buffed Sorcerer like a lot. They buffed it like a whole lot. Like against structures, they're almost twice as strong now. And the AoE and damage talents now, instead of being like 30% and 30%, can now stack up to 100% and 100%, which makes it very good. They also made orbital recovery like 50% better, which makes it actually like worth stacking. And nuclear annihilation, like when I would talk about like the big nuke that Sorcerer had, nuclear annihilation, yeah, and like how it used to be 5 minutes, and now it's 3 minutes, and the cooldown is also less. So they did huge touch ups to sorcerers, the class that everyone knew needed a touch up. But here's the thing: I just recently went through a question mark difficulty run after Divine, one of the best players of the roguelike. He's actually better than me, and I can say that with a certain amount of confidence. I'm probably either the second or third best. He beat the highest difficulty sorcerer, but he did it with like a build that I wasn't really comfortable with. I went in with like plus armor, siege tanks, Goliaths, and I tried to like sneak some nukes in, and it was still just a huge mess. The class, the nukes are good, but I don't know. They're still very finicky to use. It's no longer in like Turbo F down there, but moving it back up to D and then also saying it's better than Gambler is probably fair. Because like on no build missions, it does pretty good. In the early game, it does pretty good, and in the mid game, it does pretty good. It kind of flounders around in the end game because like unless you have a crazy amount of cooldown reduction, you're kind of just relying on your nuke to do everything. But other than that, like it's actually kind of a usable class now, but like I still consider it one of the worst classes in the game. And depending on what mood I'm in, I might say it's literally the worst. Because they also kind of buffed this as well. They also did a couple of buffs to Hunter, but nothing that's like directly buffing the Hunter in the weird way. Okay, so performance compensation, that was for units that aren't mercenaries. Hunter is this class, by the way. It's the mercenary class. So like they buffed everything that isn't a mercenary, and they made it so that your cooldown thing goes up. So basically, they want you to play from the compound instead of playing from the epic. The epic, if you remember, is mercenary internship. 40% chance when you train something to get the mercenary version of it. It's basically how you can get a whole bunch of siege breakers basically for free. So like, but this makes it so that now pay the middleman and hazard pay have gone from free curse and plague to now actually kind of a bad curse and a bad plague. This becomes an extremely money starved class. But I will admit it's a little bit better, albeit only because it now has two ways to play it instead of one. Not only does that not move it up from C, I don't even think it moves it from its position in C. It just kind of stays right there. I don't think it's enough of a buff to warrant moving it. Moving like this thing jumped an entire tier and then went to the top of that tier. Sorcerer got a pretty good glow up. But then, the big thing is since my tier list, they also released Mad Genius. But before I talk about Mad Genius, there's a couple of changes I also need to do. Since I added a new tier above S, which is something that not only like okay, so I'm gonna move these two up here into their own tier because if you're playing Scientist correctly, it doesn't even function like a normal class in the game. It literally disobeys the rules and it is fundamentally broken. This class, like, is not working properly. This one is shaped like cheese and it's meant to cheese the game. And it's the last class Red Frog ever made. And it's probably going to be the last class they ever make. So like it being a literal hunk of cheese is appropriate, but this class is just broken in just a more literal way. And I also moved Paladin from S down to A. I recently did a Paladin playthrough, and I suffered a lot from the magnet missiles in the last mission. And like it lets me know that Paladin is still an amazing class, but it does have that one weakness on All In. And when everything is a hero, everything is getting hit by mag mines. And based on your build, that can make it very frustrating and very difficult. You can dance around it. You can build predators and go straight up to cheese tier. But like at the end of the day, do I think it's as good as Bard or Psychic or you know uh, Acolyte? No, I genuinely do not believe that it belongs in the same tier as those. Engineer still gets to be where it belongs, but like I don't think Engineer is like as good as Mad Genius, but I'll get to that in a second. I also moved Wizard back down because I was also playing with Wizard and I was watching other people play Wizard, namely like Loco and Grant, and I was listening to other people playing Wizard, and every single person seems to hate Wizard and thinks it's weak. And I also hated Wizard and thought it was weak at first. And I had it moved up to A because like the glow up from like when I learned how to play it was pretty high. But even now, I'm thinking like the amount of micro hell you have to put yourself through, like these three of these four classes, this, and this, are kind of free and they play themselves. This one takes a little bit more effort, but it's also extremely easy, and I used to consider it S tier. Is this as good as those classes? No, I don't think so. Is that as good as Monk? Yeah, I think Wizard is as good as Monk. I think it's as good as Warlock. I think it's a little bit better than these, and I think it's a lot of bit better than those. But I think it's worse than everything it is beneath, because these are all very good classes. Engineer is strange and ridiculous. And like at the beginning of the game, it literally feels like a C tier. At the end of the game, it feels like broken and unusable and abusable. But no, and then it comes to this, like Acolyte is free, Bard is free, Psychic is free, and these things are broken. So like this is there, this is there. So that's the new tier list is this. And then we get to the reason I was coming back in the first place. I wasn't thinking of making a whole new tier video just for one class, but like I did 2 new playthroughs since that video. And one of them was a failed Sorcerer playthrough, but like I wasn't really expecting it to go. Like it was pretty smooth. Sorcerer was fun, but it wasn't. I couldn't finish the job. I kind of felt like I wouldn't be able to. I could feel it in my bones about halfway through the game. I'm just like, there's not enough here that I don't think I'm going to be able to beat all in, and I didn't. So like that's fine. Like I'm not the best player in the world, but I do consider myself pretty good. I'm 1v1 diamond. I'm 1v1 master. I'm like 2v2, 3v3, 4v4 diamond, occasionally master. I played in one tournament and I got a trophy. I consider myself decently good at Starcraft. I have all the single player achievements, even the ones from like the 10-year anniversary, like 5 campaign like bonanza. It's just that final challenge is ridiculous. Grant knows it's ridiculous. Loco knows it's ridiculous. Every player that plays this game for the first time knows it's ridiculous. It is a crazy challenge on a difficulty that literally says, "Hey, are you sure? Like, are you crazy? Like, not every class is meant to be able to do that final challenge." That's something that people need to realize is that if you build even a little bit wrong, or you're playing a class that isn't really that good, it's okay to expect you to be unable to finish the game. It's fine. So yeah, like if you're playing on a lower difficulty, then Sorcerer is plenty fine. It's slow, it's methodical, and it's also very safe. And it can do almost anything. It's a Jack class. I never really mentioned that back in the review because I was too busy calling it bad, but it is a Jack class. It can do whatever you want, and it doesn't take anything away from your base kit. It's actually pretty like okay at doing that. It's just if you have the choice between the other Jack classes, like Monk is a Jack class. You have Paladin's a Jack class. Acolyte's a Jack, and Scientist is technically a Jack, even though you sort of always want to build Marauders. And then let's finally talk about the new class, Mad Genius. I always try to call it Mad Scientist. It's Mad Genius. It is unlocked through one of the hardest achievements in the game, which is to beat a game without banning anything. If you know anything about this game, that's actually pretty hard to do, especially on like Chaos or above, because banning is one of the ways of increasing the quality of your draws. And without banning, you're basically condemning yourself to bad luck. But you do it, you get Bad Genius, and here we go. It gets Weaponized Insanity, which makes it so that every single unit in the Terran arsenal has a weird ability. Every single one of them, even the ones that you usually aren't supposed to have. Like from Stetman's armory or like Swan's armory and like Weapons of the Final War. Like with things like Warhounds. The Warhounds was broken for a while. I really wanted to test it out because, okay, every unit in the game has an extremely weird ability. And the Warhounds one is you can save the Warhound to your save file. And then when you load the game, you get the Warhound back. It's I've never seen anyone make it work, and apparently it's been fixed, but I haven't tested it since they fixed it. It was like in the patch notes. Um, Mad Genius. I thought I saw him say something. I thought I saw something about the Warhound. Warhound? Yeah, Mad Genius ability for Warhounds should work without requiring a restart. So I'm not sure what they did to fix it, but now you can like load a game and you can start a mission with like 200 supply worth of Warhounds in theory, and that's what I was trying to do once, but it never actually worked. Still, but like it's also like a Jack class, and Marines just do something random. It's usually good, but it can also sometimes be something bad, and they can also spread a virus and kill everything on the map. But whatever. Later on in the game, I'll just keep going with this. Future Banishment, it's one of their common talents. It creates a dead zone that sends you 60 seconds into the future. It's not very good, and it's very clunky. It's whatever. Eiffel Maneuver, you can put like a supercharged pylon on top of main building, and then it just hurts nearby things. It's also not very good. Nuclear supplies, not very good. It turns a lot of your buildings into nukes and they can blow up. Theory of Everything is 10% cooldowns on everything. This is pretty good. It's not as good as a lot of other stacked things. It's kind of like, once you get like 5 stacks of this, that's kind of all you really need. But of course you want to get more. If you see it, get it. It's whatever. It's just not as good as it could be. This one is situationally okay. I used it on Welcome to the Jungle to just steal all the Protoss buildings, and that was a little amusing, I guess, but it's worthless. I'll talk about that in a bit. Projectile Matrix is also kind of bad. It destroys all projectiles. It doesn't just slow it down like it used to back in Wings of Liberty, like mothership giant ball thing. It actually destroys it. So it's basically like an infinite energy point defense drone that destroys all projectiles for 20 seconds. Which means that if you want to lean into a unit that doesn't use projectiles, that can make you immune to ranged attacks for a while. It's pretty good, but it's not really a big wow. The big wow are these 3 things. Okay, so, and also this. Quantum Extinction Beam. This is one of the bread and butters of like the mid game and early game. If you can get this early enough, this trivializes a lot of missions. So let's say you're playing on New Folsom, right? And you mark a missile turret with Quantum Extinction Beam, and then you destroy the missile turret. Now, the entire mission has no missile turrets. You destroy every single missile turret in the game. Or let's say you're pushing one of the bases on New Folsom and you target Tech Lab or Tech Reactor and you destroy it. That means that now all the Tech Labs and Tech Reactors on the mission are destroyed. And now over at the main base, they can no longer build Ravens, which means that if you destroy all of the Ravens and all of the turrets and all of the Tech Reactors, you no longer have the capacity to lose the mission. They cannot see you and they cannot damage you. So yeah, or you can just target a Marine and then everything dies, but that's also like a double-edged sword. All of your things will die too. And all of Jimmy's things will die. So if you're creative enough with this, you can very easily smash the mission, like any mission. And it says 5 minutes, but that's reduced by theory of everything. So it can be reduced to like 2 minutes on a good day. And then we have Deja Vu. This is an extremely amusing thing and packed with Matryoshka, which I will talk about. Despite this being green, I think it's actually better than their epic, but I'll get to that. Basically, you create a little zone, and in 30 seconds, everything goes back. Anything that dies and any death effects and anything else that happens, they all come back regardless of their current state in the affairs of things. So like this also affects things like, okay, so if you're on Engine of Destruction, you know, the Odin mission when you're escorting the Odin, and the Loki spawns, you can put the Loki in this Deja Vu and you can kill it and get 100,000 credits, and then it comes back and then you kill it and you get another 100,000 credits. Like, I believe this is the only class in the game that can theoretically get infinite money if you're patient enough with it. And once again, I want to state for the record that this class is literally symbolized with a hunk of cheese. This is a cheese class. This is not meant to be like balanced. It is meant to be fun. This was the last class that Red Frog was ever going to make. I think they made a lot of classes out of order and then finished with Mad Genius specifically on purpose because they wanted this to be the cheesiest, craziest class, and they also put it behind one of the harder achievements to complete a run without bans. So your reward is now this really silly class that can break the game. And you have Event Horizon, which allows you to create a permanent black hole that kills everything. It cannot destroy map objectives, but it can destroy literally anything else. You can use this on All In to basically lock down one of your like 3 dead zones. And for the rest of the game, no units can come from that direction because they'll run into the black hole and then they'll just die. Like, just straight up. Like, it... I didn't try it on Kerrigan, but I feel like it would work on Kerrigan. But to do it on Kerrigan means to drop the black hole in a very dangerous area, and then you'd only have about 5 minutes before you can't even, like, do that anymore. And you also have to be very careful not to do it too close to your base, because the black hole will continue to grow, and it'll eventually eat everything. But realistically, it's never going to take that long. I think it takes a full 60 minutes to eat the whole map, which means that it doubles, like, every 3 minutes or something. But yeah, it's an entertaining ability, and despite everything I'm saying about it, it's actually not even that good. But anyway, Quantum Entanglement, their curse, is basically the Quantum Extinction Beam, but for the first unit you spawn. So if you spawn a Marine, it'll be quantumly entangled. This can also sometimes be a buff, but it's usually kind of an annoyance. However, you can completely subvert this with Deja Vu. Like, let's say you spawn a unit, and it has the Extinction Beam. So you put Deja Vu on it, and then you use Quantum Entanglement, and then now you kill it, the Quantum Entanglement goes away, it comes back, it doesn't have Quantum Entanglement anymore. I think that's how it works. I'm like fairly certain that's how it works. But yeah, like if you're on All In, you can't really do anything with it. But like if you're on a Terran versus Terran mission, like like the Great Train Robbery or Dead Man's Port, then you can spawn a Marine, kill your own Marine, and then from the beginning of the mission, now there's just no Marines anywhere. You've killed all of his Marines, and now you can go and collect a lot of the minerals for free. Once again, very creative. And then we have Tachyon Storm, is basically every once in a while Deja Vu spawns. This doesn't feel like a nerf at all. In fact, neither of these really feel like a nerf. The Quantum Entanglement is situationally a nerf, and also it's consistently an annoyance and only situationally a nerf. Tachyon Storm is almost never a nerf. In fact, in some missions, you won't even realize it's even happening. But it drops Deja Vus randomly, and it can sometimes even help you. So yeah, these are both basically free. And then we go back to basically what I consider one of the best parts of the game, is a mixture between Matryoshka, Quantum Extinction Beam, and Deja Vu. When you combine these 3 things together, you can create, depending on the unit, infinite units for free. Like, let's say you spawn like 5 warhounds or something, or 5 siege tanks, or 5 Goliaths. Just like 5, or it doesn't need to be 5. It just needs to be more than one, like 2. This could work with 2, but starting with such a small number would be kind of annoying. What you need to do is you need to hit one of your things with Quantum Extinction Beam, and then trap everything with Deja Vu. And then you kill that thing inside of the Deja Vu with the Quantum Extinction Beam, and now all of your little mechanical units have died, and they create a little copy of themselves. So it's like a half tank, or a half Goliath, or a half something else. And then once Deja Vu happens, all those units that just died come back, but you still have the mini units. So now you can basically double your bar, you can double your units every, like, what, 3 minutes? It says 3 minutes, but that's not talking about theory of everything. And then, like, yeah, it's extremely good. And if you, based on your subclass, I think it was with Death Knight. I actually got offered Death Knight, and I was testing it out. Their super ability is called the Overdrive Metroshica system, which allows it to happen twice. And everything that dies comes back and also triggers Death Rattle when they come back. It's basically, it wants you to use the Metroshica Quantum Extinction Deja Vu Beam. And like I don't know. Like, that's just what I did. Divine also had like 3 other ways of completely breaking the game with this class. Like, it really is the silliest and most ridiculously broken class, and it was made that way on purpose. And there's cheese strategies for everything. In fact, I think if you were to like create like 1,000 supply worth of warhounds, you might be able to save them with their warhound quantum ability, and then bring them to the next mission. And then like you can start all in with 1,000 warhounds, and then you can just rush the main hive and win. Like it can do literally everything. I don't know. All I can say about that class is to just play it. Play the class, and then you'll realize it's just silly. It's weakest at the very beginning because like Marines doing random stuff can situationally be bad. But like once you get like a couple of usable units, I think like they even made Hellions good. Like Hellions have this thing where they get like 75% attack and movement speed, and then like they get another 100% over 30 seconds, up to a maximum of 175%. And at the end, they explode. And if you have Matryoshika, you can just do it again. And if you turn them into Hellbats, then like you can do the Outbreak mission in like one night with very minimal investment by just walking a couple of these Hellbats around and just killing everything. And if you have Deja Vu, you can bring them all back after they like kill themselves. Or you can like untrigger it, and then you can trigger it again. You can just it's all carrot and no stick. And when they die, they come back. You get more of them. It's a ridiculous class. Deja Vu alone probably makes this an S tier class because there's so many funny things you can do with it. Deja Vu paired with Quantum Extinction Beam has a lot of like infinity combos, and when you pair Deja Vu with Quantum Extinction Beam and Matryoshika, then like you have more than infinity. You can double your infinity like every 5 minutes, modified by theory of everything. And then that's just a couple of the units. Every like good unit has this crazy thing. Like if you can get theory of everything up to like 20 stacks, I heard that you can stop time indefinitely with a single battlecruiser and very slowly kill the main hive and all in with one unit. You can literally solo the entire game with one battlecruiser because you're constantly stopping time and it won't like ever let up. So like once you get to a certain point, it becomes theoretically impossible to lose. There's not really much else to say. This is my final layout. I think Sorcerer, it has gotten such a huge buff. It really needed it. I kind of feel like it should get a little bit more, but it is what it is. They gave a small buff to Hunter, but it wasn't enough to really move it anywhere. They kind of just buffed the non-Hunter units around it, which I guess gives it a lot of early game stability, which is still good. They fixed a couple of glitches, and then I myself became aware of the more downsides of Paladin and the more downsides of Wizard, so I moved them both down a tier. And I moved Scientist back up because it was kind of the poster child for an impossible to lose game if you know what you're doing. And this is an impossible to lose game even if you kind of don't know what you're doing. Other than that, everything else still stays the way it is. I still hate Rogue. It's probably my least favorite class because the amount of times I had to play it, but that's not because it's bad. It's because I don't like it and it's not conducive to my current playstyle. But yeah, this is my final ranking now. If you have your own opinions, like, you can leave a comment, I guess, or you can just catch me on Discord. I'm in the Giant Grants Games Discord, and I'm in the thread for Raynor has gone roguelike, and I'll likely be in that thread for a very long time because something tells me they haven't finished working on this yet. So hey, here's hoping for any new stuff coming out. I know Red Frog said that they weren't going to work on a Legacy of the Void randomizer, but hey, who knows how that's going to go down. Anyway, see ya.